This story tells of Yukito, the son of a clan leader who was taken and tied in a box by his followers. They still believe in mystical things. They want Yukito to be worthy of a leadership position to replace his father. Yukito has endured this torture since childhood. And this time, Yukito is sure he will die because he cannot survive in the ocean for 3 days. But his father assured him that Mitama and their god would help and save him. This is the Musabi ritual, a ritual that every heir must go through to become the next leader of the clan. Yukito knew that his father would not listen to him. Yukito gave up trying to persuade him. The other clan members then threw Yukito into the deep sea. A moment later, the scene flashed before his eyes. Over time, Yukito's signs of life began to weaken, and he didn't have a single pleasant moment to remember before his death. This made him want a life without religion and God, where he could have friends like other people and live a normal life. When he opened his eyes, a girl nearby was reading a book about healing men. He started taking care of her again with the help of the books he brought. Seeing the view of this village, Yukito realized that this was like the parallel world he dreamed of. He asked about the Adventurers Guild. Yukito wanted to learn more about the situation of this village. But Aruaru thought he was asking for a job, so she took him to the fields and assigned him to farm. When Yukito was contemplating, then Roy came to warn him not to look with dirty thoughts at Aruaru because all the girls in this village are his mine. After talking, Clen then offered him a job by giving him a dagger. Yukito was fully aware that the dagger was a classic beginner's weapon. Yukito imagines they are testing him to see if he is worthy to fight monsters, so he tried his best to collect grapes so that they would see his abilities. Yukito is upset because he has no magic, no sword, and apparently there are no monsters in this parallel world. But the next day while Yukito is farming, he sees a stranger rushing out of the forest and screaming about an animal giant behind him. Roy confirms that it's a strange animal, and Roy would rather run than fight. Then they manage to survive being chased by the strange animal, but Yukito was annoyed because they chose to run away, rather than face the monster. Arriving at the hotel, Aruaru treated his injured arm manually because there was no magic here. Yukito thought again that this parallel world did not match his imagination, but he was still happy living there. After harvesting the grapes, they then make alcohol and consume it like anyone else. This was not what he expected. But suddenly Yukito's view changed when he wandered in the forest. Yukito, who had lived for days in the village, then realized that there was no belief in gods, and this place is empty of spirituality and religion, when suddenly he saw a dead animal lying there and decided to give it a burial. Then something crossed his mind. What would they do with the bodies if they didn't bury them? The next day they went to the capital, and Yukito visited this place for the first time, and it turned out that their village was a small part of the empire's territory. Roy explains that the place taught them farming and monster hunting. Roy took them to a shop. It turned out that the shop sold books for adults. Yukito surprises them by saying that it is an art book placed in a museum. When they were going back to the village, they saw people being forced to drink something by the soldiers. But after drinking something, they died, and Yukito wondered why they did that. Suddenly, she held her hand and took her out of the crowd. Then she told Yukito that this was called end of life, where people had to end their lives according to state orders. Hearing this, he was worried about his colleagues in the village, but Roy explained that they were treated differently. At night, Aruaru suddenly wants to sleep in Yukito's bed, and Aruaru wants to try everything mentioned in the adult books to increase his energy. But Yukito continues to forbid it because he needs to understand the book first. Then Yukito asked why people in the capital hated the villagers. Meanwhile, Aruaru shows him a sign that distinguishes him from the townspeople. So the townspeople hate him and looked at them disgustingly. However, Yukito, who had no friends in his previous life, felt happy to have them as friends, and Allure was happy to hear that. Allure asks about the sparkling pendant on Yukito's neck. Yukito says that it is this pendant was the only item he brought from his previous world. His father had told him that this pendant had the ability to be a sign of good luck. Even so, he gave this pendant to Allure, and Allure was happy to have the pendant. The next day, Yukito saw that the restaurant was empty, and when he came out, he saw Roy being beaten badly by city soldiers, and also they have brought Siluri and Allure to take their lives. And today is the day when they will be executed. Yukito wants to do something to save their lives. Then a plan emerged. They quickly took a horse-drawn carriage and moved towards the capital to save their friends. Arriving in the city, Yukito met the soldiers, and they immediately fight with the soldiers. The soldiers ask who he is and why he is fighting for these people. Then Yukito honestly said that they were his friends. Yukito angrily asks why they were hanged. Then the commander appears and tells Yukito that they are outcasts who are afraid of death, so the punishment is death. The commander thought that the emperor had shown mercy to them by creating an isolation camp. Then the commander took out his sword and stabbed Yukito straight away, making a hole in his stomach. Seeing Yukito injured, Allure screamed. Then the commander slashed Allure and made her fall to the ground. Yukito drags himself towards Allure and is shocked to see Allure who has died. Then he remembered his father's words and tried to believe in Mitama the same as holding the pendant. Then the pendant emits a light, and the voice of Yukito's heart has reached Mitama-sama. Then Mitama-sama appeared and arrived at the place where Yukito was lying. Everyone was stunned to see Mitama-sama's strength, but Mitama-sama was focused only on the dead Yukito. Then Mitama-sama hugs him, and he is happy because Yukito has called him. Soon he realizes that Yukito is dead, and everyone around him is responsible for Yukito's death. Mitama released her strength by killing all of them, which caused Yukito's death. After that, he heals Allure and Yukito with his powers. Allure is surprised that he is still alive and saw Mitama-sama hanging on Yukito's shoulder. But Yukito admits that he doesn't know her. Then Mitama-sama introduces herself and explains that she was here at Yukito's call.